I love Asian web design. It's fun, it's colorful, and it's totally nuts sometimes. Now, I don't think that Asian web design is the best from a usability standpoint. It's too much information crammed into a small place, but Asian web designers, they dare to try new things. Now, it used to be the same here in the 1990s, late 1990s, early 2000s. Web designers were trying new things. There wasn't kind of any rules what they could do and what they couldn't do. So now quickly fast forward to 2020 and look at the state of web design in the West here, how it looks today. Most websites look the same. They follow the same paradigm, they look exactly the same almost. And even websites from two major competitors in a niche sometimes look pretty much identical. So what happened? Well, in 2010, Bootstrap was launched. And for you not familiar with Bootstrap, it's a framework which you can use to quickly build a decent looking website by just copy pasting code snippets. And today more than 18% of all websites use Bootstrap, which also has given birth to many similar frameworks. So what's the problem with this? Well, if you think about it, if 18% of all websites use the same framework, and this is just Bootstrap, then you have 18% of all websites which use the same color libraries, the same typography schemes, the same components and so on. So of course you will have a generic web design. But there's also a more fundamental flaw with these frameworks. So all frameworks are built around the idea of offering pre-coded design elements and components which users can implement on their websites but just using small code snippets. And to make this possible, these frameworks comes with huge libraries where all these functions are fully coded. So if you use Bootstrap, for example, for designing a single HTML page, which if you coded it by hand would have a handful of lines of code, using Bootstrap, people visiting your site would have to download a library of about 20,000 lines of code. And the other problem with these frameworks is they write terrible code. So Bootstrap, for example, as we can see here, put classes on every page element instead of only the wrapping element, which is the correct way to do it. And the way Bootstrap code is a bit like a one-grader writes. So welcome to Simplicity. Simplicity is a new type of framework where users build their projects directly in the browsers, and the final code base contains not a single line of overhead library code. And the best of all, sites built with Simplicity, contrary to all leading frameworks, follows the latest coding standards and are blistering fast. So how does it work? So I'm going to walk you through how to build a single website using Simplicity. So the first thing we do is that we're going to create our grid, and I'm going to choose a save one. We're going to do some adjustments. I have the CSS updating here. I click save. We're now going to do a color scheme. I choose a save one now. Apply it to our grid. I do some adjustment color background adjustments. I do adjustments to typography and so on. We're now going to open a typography scheme, apply it to grid, and here we can choose fonts, etc. We can do adjustments, and we change the size here and so on. And now we're going to actually create a new page. So I click on new page. I choose the template we made, grid 1, the color template, and the typography template. I add a logo to the header, so we see header here, and I'm going to add the logo. I'm going to add a menu which we previously created. It's saved, add to header. I'm going to add a column to host the welcome image. I'm going to add a welcome image, add image to main. I'm going to add a headline underneath. I'm now going to add a button under, a column for a divider under that. Put the divider. I'm going to add a column for an H2 headline, a sub-column to host the headline, and in call left, and then we're going to add a column to the right, which is going to host some more content later. I'm going to add a menu to the footer, menu secondary, add to footer. The menu is saved since before. I'm going to add a contact form, so I go to components, contact form, I add it to a home page. It's now ready to be included. I have the call right where I have it. I click here, add it to call right. So what I want to do now is to upload the web page to my server. I click publish. I want to add it to my live server. It's not on the list. So I click new. I add the credentials. I click save. I now have a button down here. And when I click on that, the site is uploaded to my server. So if I would do the same with Bootstrap. So first I would have to go to the extensive documentation of Bootstrap. I would have to download the library to my local computer, and then I would have to dig through this extensive documentation, how to use grids, color typography, and so on. I then would have to locate and learn all the references to functions which are unique to Bootstrap. And learning Bootstrap efficiently is about the same like relearning a completely new coding language. So when developing Simplicity, I conducted a number of tests on Simplicity and on competitor frameworks. And users had 40 minutes to create a website. Participants in the study who hadn't used the framework before, none were able to create a basic website, not even a grid, in 40 minutes. People were digging through the documentation and couldn't understand how to do it. With Simplicity, everyone was able to do it in 15 minutes or less with no help, no documentation. So Simplicity will never be as extensive as Bootstrap and other frameworks and offering a solution to every single problem. And that is just the point. That's the whole point. By not offering a solution to every problem, designers are forced to use their creativity in the design process. They can't just copy-paste the design. They have to use their skills. Hopefully, there will be more frameworks like Simplicity that use the same paradigm. And if that happens in the future and more designers start to use them, hopefully we will not only have a more efficient web, but we also will see a little bit more of this and a much less of this. Thank you so much for taking the time to see this presentation.